So dear all, thank you for being here with us. I'm really glad to be at this panel of Innovation for Sustainability through the lens of ESG of the CR3 2021 event hosted by ISAE this time and Prime. I am Ana Carolina Paci. I am SDGs and Client Engagement Manager at UN Global Compact Network Brazil, which is the largest sustainability network in the world and the main one here in the country. For those who don't know Global Compact, we are kind of a cousin initiative of Prime. We are focused on companies, whereas Prime is focused on business schools, and we have lots of projects and initiatives in partnership. I'm really happy to moderate this panel on innovation and SDG with Edson Kondo. Welcome, Edson. It's really nice to meet you. I hope you have a really nice conversation. Edson is the president of ANGRAD Brazil, dean of the FGV School of Public Policy and Government in Brasilia, and director of FGV Brazil Japan Center for Innovation and Sustainability. He has many other things. I couldn't write it all here, Edson. It's just one of the few topics that we have, right? Because you have a really extensive CV that I saw in the website of the event. You can tell us a little bit more of your experience throughout the event. We're also Celso Tacla, which is area president of Walmet South America and member of Walmet's executive team.
Yes.
And we are also with Daniely Andrade, which is ESG manager of Rumo, one of the main logistics Brazilian companies. Thank you all for being here. So this panel, I'm going to bring some questions for the participants soon. And if the other participants also have questions, feel free to send them in the chat. And I can also propose for the panelists. And I'm really glad to be in this panel on innovation and sustainability because these two topics are closely connected. As I told you before, I am SDGs manager here at Network Brazil, which SDGs, for those who don't know, is are related to the Sustainable Development Goals, which are part of the 2030 agenda, the main agenda of sustainable development we have nowadays in the world. And when we talk about ESG, we are also talking about SDGs or sustainability. ESG is a new term, not so new. It was the first time that we talked about ESG was in 2004 in a publication of UN Global Compact. And it was the first time we are talking to the investors and for the companies that they should look for the environment, social and governance topics in their operations. And the way the companies can do this is working towards sustainability, as you know. Sustainability is an older concept since we've been talking about this 50 years now. So ESG is new, but it's not that new. But the good thing about this wave that we have experienced in the world and in Brazil is that now more companies and more investors are looking at this. And as we have seen with the SDGs agenda, the way to work with ESG or SDGs is throughout innovation, right? Because we know that we have a north to achieve a more sustainable and equitable world for the next generations and for the next years. And we need new business solutions to do this. So we need innovation to achieve the main challenges we have in our world for our societies and also planet. And I would like to give you some examples before we start with the questions. The SDGs, they talk about reducing inequalities and poverty and hunger in the world, provide education for all or achieve gender equality. And in Brazil, I brought some indicators. For instance, we have 12.7 million people living in poverty in the country, which is a rising number in the last years. We have 14 million people unemployed inequality is rising in the world, but especially in Latin America and in our country. We have a lack of women and Black people in leadership positions, all big challenges, and to achieve these challenges, we need new solutions. So we need innovation in our companies, in our universities, everywhere, because we need a new way of doing business, right? And I'm sure Edson, Celso, and Daniely will provide some examples of how the organizations are doing this. And to start this panel, this discussion, I want to start with Edson. Edson, how do you believe innovation can contribute to the implementation of the ESG agenda?
Thank you, Anna. I'm going to talk a little bit from the viewpoint of management schools that are preparing future managers for work in the market. And of course, innovation is the driver of everything in nowadays society. I would like to start saying that a couple of weeks ago, exactly on October 14, we had the approval by the Ministry of Education of the new guidelines for management programs in Brazil. That was a result of a couple of years' effort by our association in partnership with the Federal Council on Management and the National Council for Education. And what we try to do is reflect about what the society needs to become more sustainable, of course, but also how management schools, what is the role of management schools, and how we should form our students so that they can really have an impact in this dynamic and ever-changing society. So I'm not going to discuss the details of these guidelines, which are quite interesting, but I just want to emphasize the importance given to ESG in these new guidelines also. The very first article mentioning the competences needed by managers and administrators states that graduates from management schools should be able to integrate knowledge in innovative ways so that business can act sustainably in the social, environmental, economic, and cultural dimensions. So ESG is at the center as we think about how management schools should be preparing, new managers and future administrators. So this is the first point I would like to say. And of course, innovation, creativity, is the essence in there. Now, I don't want to spend too much time, but I want to try to respond to your question in a little bit broader ways. So how innovation can help, firms and society to achieve ESG goals? That's, of course, not an easy question. Of the three goals, environment, social, and governance, the most prominent today, and particularly because we're going to have COP26 start tomorrow or the day after tomorrow, environment is really at the top of interest in every place in the world. The other thing is, because we can see through the media and through social networks, the impact of large number of houses being burned or floods destroying cities, fires in the Amazon region, in Canada, in Russia, we can really feel the impact of what climate change is doing with the environment. And we can feel that all society, firms, third sector organizations, government, everyone has to work to solve this major problem of climate change and environment. The problem is that social issues are a bit more difficult to feel because the poor do not attract media attention as much. But I would say it's probably the largest challenge in terms of innovation, how we can solve social problems or how we can improve the social standing of 1 billion or 2 billion people who are living at the margins of society. The main problem is innovation in general is labor saving. For example, the authors, father and son, Richard and Daniel Susskind, wrote in their 2015 book, The Future of Professions. They say that even specialized professions, like doctors, like engineers, they will be replaced by AI. It's just a matter of time. And they show very detailed studies of how lawyers also can be replaced and many other professions will be replaced. James Sussman, he wrote an interesting book last year called Work, and he's describing how work developed through the ages, since prehistoric times until this very day. And he states very strongly that it looks like we have been tricked by our own ingenuity into turning our factories, offices, and workplaces into devil's workshops that will leave our hands idle and rob our lives of purpose. Well, this is very provocative, right? But the point that I want to emphasize is the trend that innovation is bringing in general is automation, is helping society fulfill their needs without the intervention of human beings. And that brings a large number of people without purpose, because work is really purpose. For many people, you can enjoy, when you're working all the time, leisure is wonderful. But when leisure is available 100% of the time, then it is difficult to find purpose. So that's one very important point. And I want to just finish this and keep it for our further discussion, since purpose is the essential element in everyone's lives. When we talk about ESG, when we talk about innovation, how can we ensure that really purpose is still kept as part of the society? We can not only give, universal income, universal basic income to everyone, as many advanced countries are experimenting, for example, but really how we can ensure that people still have purpose and can have fulfilling lives. So I'm not sure if I could respond, but that would be my point for beginning our discussion. Thank you very much.
Great, Edson. Thank you. And I was thinking about what you said, and I totally agree. I think sometimes the climate debate or the environmental debate takes a major place than the social one, right? In the ESG world, usually people talk about climate, but they forget one of the main challenges we are living in the world, and especially in Latin America and Brazil. And that's something that I really like to reinforce always, that when I can, because we have been experiencing some of the main indicators of unemployment, people living in poverty, extreme poverty, in hunger rising in the years. And everyone has a role in this, right? Not only governments, but also universities, students, future professionals. And what I was wondering is, do you think the students, they have a different mindset now? Do you see this difference? Do you see the students looking for more purpose in their studies and also in the future jobs that they are applying?
Well, definitely. Because, you know, with the advance of society, we see many more new types of diseases. Among those, depression is widespread. And you find depression even in schools. I mean, people are studying and people are young and they struggle with finding purpose. So I think that's a very important point we should not forget in when we discuss ESG. Of course, companies will have different problems, but also purpose inside companies for the workers. I would say that for the leaders of the companies, purpose is what drives them. But for those who are working there, to have this convergence of goals is still a challenge that we all have to be very aware when we discuss and debate about ESG.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, we are living in the VUCA world, right? It's changing really fast. And asking about the students because they are the future professionals and maybe the future investors and also clients of companies. And we have seen lots of studies being released on how everyone is demanding a company not only to address ESG issues, but also to have a purpose. They need to redefine their success based on purpose. It's not only about how much money they are going to make. It's not only about profit. It's also about purpose nowadays. And I wanted to hear more on of Celso on this, on how do you believe innovation is being connected to ESG in your company? And considering also, we are talking yesterday, right? You work for a Nordic company that operates in Latin America. So you have a different mindset because many European countries and companies are more advanced on these topics. And sometimes you are advanced on this and you face different challenges here in the country with a totally different reality. So how you are addressing ESG in your operation here? And also I would like to hear a little bit more on the good practice that you have on climate, right? You are a benchmark on this now.
All right, very good. Thank you, Anna, for the question. And thank you, Edson, for your answer in the beginning of this forum here, very illustrative. Yeah. But, you know, if I start telling that for us in Walmet, like you said, it's a Finnish company, it's a Nordic country, company. So this is very much in our blood, you know, this is not new for us. And Walmet is a company with more than 200 years history going back in time, and it was refounded in the year 2014. In the 1st of January, it came alive again, you know, with this name. But if I tell you that on the 14th of January of the same year, we were already part of the global compact that you are representative here. So you see how much this is strong in our veins, in our, you know, in our DNA, I would say, and this is in the core of our mission or purpose. You know, it is not only what brought us here, but also what takes us forward in the future. So this is all connected, and I will concentrate more in this in the environmental part of the ESG, though, you know, of course, I can comment about our experiences in the S and in the G as well. But if you look this, like the mission or the purpose that I just mentioned, that for us here in Walmet is to convert the renewable resources into sustainable results. And what is that about? This is, what are sustainable results? It is not about, it is also about financial results, but it's everything that comes together with that, how we deal with the people that works for us, how we work with the environmental, how we work with all the stakeholders that we have. So this is very much in our hearts, And for doing that, we cooperate with our customers in the pulp and energy sectors and also with other business. So all this strategy that we have, it is based on the mega trends that we face now, and this is common for, I think, many of other business like in the world that we are living today. And one of the most important is the resource efficient and clean world. So that is guiding much of the actions, that I said, for us, it's very natural. And for a long time that we are living this in this world. And then the other that is quite important as well, and it's the digitalization and the new technologies that will have impact on the, like Edson just mentioned, how the people is prepared to work in this new digital work, or how are they finding their jobs, or what kind of work is there for everybody in the future. And then, of course, urban and global and responsible consumers. So this awareness about the consumption is growing in the mentality of many people. So these megatrends, they are related to sustainability, and in Walmet we have this 360 degrees sustainability agenda that focus on 5 main core focus. So one is the supply chain. So yeah, maybe before I tell about these 5 pillars, I would say that in my view and in Walmet's view is that we need to have we need to look at in the whole supply chain that we have, from the suppliers to the not only our customers, but the products that they make with our products, and how the consumption goes all the way in the supply chain. But all right, so the first one is the sustainable supply chain. So we have a program, to educate also the suppliers that we have here. And that is part of a global program. You asked how we operate here in South America, being a Nordic company. Ana, we operate the same way here in Brazil, the way we operate in Finland, in Sweden, in the US, in Canada. We have only one way of operation, global way of operation. So we don't make any concessions, so we are one company. Then the second pillar is the HSE, that is the health, safety, and environmental. And this tells a bit, how we treat the people that works for us and with us. People and performance, this goes very much together with how do we prepare the people to work with Walmet, how we recruit these people, how we train these people, what are the kind of opportunities we give them. And then, of course, I could describe a lot of things that we are doing here, how we bring the talents from the, how we choose them, and how much open we this process is, and to, not only to avoid discrimination, but with a positive measures, to make it like natural. It is very natural in our culture. And then the fourth pillar is maybe the most important for us, because we are working, like I said, for pulp and paper and energy industries. So it it is about the sustainable solutions. So a lot of of our work, it is made for that. How we create every time solutions that are more and more sustainable, and that can help us to have a better world for everybody today and in the future. If I tell a little bit about the purpose and mission that I just mentioned before, but think about that, if you are working on a company that is developing a better world and a more sustainable world with products, not only our products, but the products that our customers are producing with our products. So we look at the whole chain. And then the last point in the sustainability program is the corporate citizenship. That how we work with the governments and with the NGOs and everybody that is the entities, like I mentioned, the UN and so on. Then just not to be too long here, in the first comment here, we launched also in April this year. As it is embedded in our sustainability program. But we launched a program that is our climate program. It's called Forward to a Carbon Neutral Future, and we have targets, that they are for our supply chain, for our own operations, and also in the phase of the use of our own technologies. And all the targets that we have here, they are approved by the Science Based Targets Initiative. So that is about it, Ana. It's very much embedded in our culture. So I would say all the elements, the E, S, and G, and in our company we work mostly sustainable solutions for a better world. Yeah.
And that's
so maybe
great.
I stop here now, and yeah, if there is any comment or question, I can comment on those.
Also, I really like that you have mentioned that the company is part of science-based targets, because here at Network Brazil, at Global Compact in general, and I would say that people that works with sustainability, they want to see the targets and the goals that the companies have, right? Because most part of the companies, at least here in the country, they say that they work with climate, with gender, with race, and many other topics, but they don't have specific goals and targets. That's why it's really important for the companies to have commitments such as science-based targets, where you can measure how you are working and how you're going to be net zero, or at least to reduce your emissions aligned to the 1.5 way, right? And before I give the word to Daniely, I wanted to understand a little bit better how we are working with ESG and innovation. Then you would say that Walmet has ESG in its DNA now, so everything that you do is connected to ESG, and you also encourage innovations connected to the environmental and also the social impact.
Yes, sure, Ana. Yeah, like just coming back to your comment. So we have the annual report and the sustainability report, and these are based on the GRI. So we are following all the methodology there. So that is, it is really something that is well done, and we really establish the targets and follow up this constantly. So I would say for the pulp business, if I tell about innovation, and this is all about innovation, consider a pulp mill from some years ago, some decades ago, and then that mill would buy electricity from the grid, for example, and then today it produces like 140, 150, depends on the system that are installed there, of electrical power. So it means that it can export green energy, and that's green energy. It comes from the wood to the grid. So take, for example, a mill of 2.5 million tons per year. It produces, you know, I wouldn't say many numbers here because it can be a little bit confusing, but a mill of this size, that is the today's size of a large pulp mill, it can export 150 megawatts per hour. That is like the house consumption of 2 million people average in Brazil. So one pulp mill can generate all the power, electrical power that it consumes, and then export green energy for like 2 million people. And so this is one example. Now, for example, here, our customers, I can maybe, because that was released by Klabin, they are the first company in the world producing kraft liner paper, or 100% from short fiber, that using Walmet technologies, and that we developed it together. So in these processes, they are saving fiber, they are saving land, you know, they are producing something that is, they broke a paradigm, you know, producing a paper that somebody was imagined that was only possible to produce with another type of fiber. We also, just to, you know, we have so many things that we are, innovations that we are doing nowadays, that, for example, fiber to replace textiles. With this, you know, you can save some cotton plantations and save 99% of the water. It consumes 99% less water than with the cotton, for example, not to tell about the chemicals and everything. And like our fossil fuel free mills, we just started. There is a pulp mill here in Brazil starting up now in São Paulo state, and that is the first fossil fuel free mill in the Americas using biomass gasification. You know, so they are replacing some fossil fuel in the lime kilns of this mill, and with this they avoid emissions of 300,000 tons of CO2 per year. So many things I could spend, you know, many hours telling. It's you know, it's very interesting to go into that, but I think these are few examples that illustrate what we are doing.
No, these are great examples also, because if you want to achieve net zero or reduce your emissions, you need to rethink the way you're doing business, right? And this is innovation. We need new business solutions for this. And I would like to hear a little more on Rumo on this. So Daniely, how do you say the company has been addressing ESG and innovation in its operations and with the value chain? Celso provided a good example of partnership, right, with Klabin. I think this is key. Also partnerships to innovate, because we can't do anything alone. We need our partners, and partners that are in the value chain, clients, investors, whatever. And also, do you think the company has been using the ESG agenda on its advantage?
Thank you, Ana. And well, ESG is a worldwide movement, and there's no way to go back. Everyone will need to adapt to this new reality that it's not that new, as we already know. So companies that have already understood that will have more advantage. Nowadays, every company needs to deal with the complexity of today's world, and this go beyond traditional approaches, as we already said. So this new framework is based on strategic innovation for solutions oriented for sustainability. This may sound extreme, but it basically means that to find new ways to improve performance through innovation in all three dimensions: environmental, social, and economic. Maybe I can give some examples to show how we address these topics here. Rumo is the largest railway operator here in Brazil, and we offer logistics services for rail transportation, port elevation, and warehousing. By transporting mainly agriculture commodities, we play a relevant role in the development of the local economy, positioning Homo as a partner in the transition to a low carbon economy, seeking to minimize social and environmental aspects. At Rumo, for our governance, we have a strategy and sustainability committee. On quarterly basis meetings, it is analyzed some of the main sustainability related KPIs, especially those related to long-term commitments, such as emissions, safety, employee satisfaction, diversity, and others. It also addresses aspects related to strategies for M&A, investment allocation, associations and strategic partnerships, and the sustainable development of our operations, including social and environmental management and communication. In 2020, we published Homo's commitment to sustainable development. These commitments are aligned with our values, always contributing to the development of a more ethical society and also aligned with the sustainable development goals. These goals are about safety, emissions, gender diversity, employee satisfaction, innovation, transparency, sustainability in supply chain and clients and others. We also included these corporate ESG goals in the executive compensation of all employees. We believe that innovation is part of ESG in order to seek different ways of acting. On the E of environment from EXG, for example, railway play an important role in the reduction of CO2 emissions. And looking to help our clients and suppliers, we have an ESG report, including information on emissions avoided by transport with rail compared to other kinds of transport. And it is sent monthly to our client. It is an important advantage for us and for our clients too. So we have this calculator here inside our company. On the S of social, focused on safety with a fuse project, we work to accelerate innovation across the railway, fostering actions to reduce collisions and pedestrian crashes at our level crossing, using, for example, artificial intelligence aligned to cameras and traffic lights. So we also work with communities. We focus in education. As an example, there's a course created for community leaders focused on safety on rails in partnerships with Lastro. So yes, we do have a lot of projects that can confirm that partnerships and innovation, they help you to achieve ESG as an advantage for your company.
That's great. I was thinking about what Edson said in the beginning, and also because we will have a COP right in the next days, and we have seen many Brazilian companies and international companies such as Walmet and Rumo talking about all the efforts on climate. And I was wondering, how do you see the rising of the S and the G in the companies? Do you think it's the debate is rising at least, and the companies are thinking about working with maybe diversity? I think diversity is the more it's the main topic, right, that the companies address when they talk about social efforts, but also human rights and other stuff. Do you think it's growing? Do you see a change in the company? And do you see also a connection with this, with innovation? As Edson said in the beginning, innovation is not only about technology, right? Or digitalization and all this stuff. It's also about new ways of addressing old problems. So I would like to hear a little bit more on this of Daniely and Celso, and also of course on Edson, because you have an experience with students and other professionals.
Yeah, I guess that in our business, not only diversity, but also community engagement are the main topic here for our discussion. And as part of our governance, we always look to improve. How can we improve in these aspects? And when we see the S, as you and Edson already said, more than to bring new technologies here to the debate, is more to think, how can we educate for sustainability? So I guess this is the point. I guess that education is the key to achieve these results. And we have here many projects that can confirm that. As we have this close engagement with communities, we also try to see how can we work education with these communities? How can we make them understand, for example, that we need to reduce collisions or pedestrian crashes? How can we educate these communities to engage in these topics? And also, diversity is a main issue to discuss. I guess that we have in this business is mainly men's working in the railway, and a focus we need to discuss is the education for also girls and women achieve these positions too.
Great. So, would you like to add anything?
Yeah, good, thank you. So that's, we also, I think that sponsorship programs, they are important. And we do have a sponsorship programs that we have here in Brazil, in South America. And then Walmet in globally, we also have these programs. And what we do is that we may make a kind of vote, among all the people that works for Walmet. To give an example, what are the projects to be sponsored? But more than that, what we believe is that we need to provide the means for people to understand what is sustainability. And then, for example, we train all our people into sustainability topics, and not only our people, but also the suppliers. So we have a training program for the suppliers, and not necessarily they are supplying something for us today, but we have it. And then all the way in the supply chain. So we have audits in the suppliers, everywhere in the world, to see how these social matters they are treated, and you name which one, but we see the labor conditions and discrimination and everything that's and adherence to the laws and regulations, everything. So we have a program that covers this all around the world. I think that every company shall do it is on programs, and with this increase the awareness of this and the importance of these things in the society. And you asked also, how we see these things going in Brazil, and I think it's quite obvious that there is this awareness is increasing a lot here. And you open a newspaper, or you see the web page of a newspaper, so you see that many of these pages, they will be kind of dominated by ESG trends and what the companies are doing for establishing the targets and reaching these targets. I think it is really a positive wave that we are living nowadays. Well, that's yeah, and then of course, yeah. Another important aspect is how to prepare the people to work in the future, and in this sense, I mentioned before, we have a program for trainees here in South America, and we do have this in Finland, for example, and there Walmet was choosing the third best employer by the Finnish students, where you should work work with, or where we are thinking to work in the future. And of course, the new people there, they are willing, the young people, they are willing to work in a company that is protecting the world that they are going to live in the future. So their world. And I think that this tells about what we are doing.
Yeah, of course. You mentioned the supply chain, right? The value chain of companies. That is key. And that's a big challenge for a major and global companies such as Walmet, right? Because sometimes we can address this in our operations, and we guarantee that we are addressing ESG issues, working with the SDGs, or I don't know, maybe you don't work with the SDGs, but you have public commitments and you have goals on climate and diversity, on human rights and all those stuff. But it's hard to guarantee that this is also happening with the supply chain of the company. And it's important that major companies such as Walmet and Rumo and all the others pay attention on this, and also demand, as you mentioned, right? Demand for these companies to address these issues. Here at Global Compact, we are launching a movement on living wage, for instance, which is not the minimum wage, right? Is the living wage is the wage that guarantees a life with dignity for the worker and also for its family. And it's easy when we're talking about companies, because usually they pay a good wage for its employees, but it's hard when we are talking about the value chain. And we want companies to commit not only for their operations, but also to spread this in all the chain. It's a challenge, but I think we can achieve this also with innovation. And Edson, do you think we have been addressing the social and the governance topics and challenges as much as we have been addressing the climate challenges that we face? Do you think that we need to pay more attention on this?
Well, you know, I think both Walmet and Rumo are doing a great job. That they are very progressive companies. And my father had a small farm, and we had a farm tractor Walmet at home. So it's great to see you. And I learned to drive by manipulating, you know, the tractor, also helping my father. But anyway, what I think is, and this is more maybe a more academic approach, but the world makes mistakes and society makes mistakes, because many times we are too much concerned with form and we forget the essence. So when we have this framework, you should do this, you should do that, we have a recipe of how to be an ESG company. And people make an effort to do all the things that are in the recipe and to be the best possible. But sometimes the essence does not come, or the essence has not been grasped by everyone who is involved. So, and I talk about not only by the companies, but by the workers, by members of society, because what is the danger? The danger is that society will start seeing things as rights and not as responsibility. I have the right to be treated differently. I have the right for a wage or a minimum wage. I have the right for such and such. And that's right. But, and that's true, correct, but we can build a healthy society only when rights can be provided by society. It's not automatic. We don't provide education, we don't provide health just because we want. We all need to work and create the conditions so that society as a whole can provide education for everyone, health for everyone, rights to everyone. So that's one point. The second point is talking about diversity. Diversity also has been, I have seen so many organizations and discussions concerned with the form. You want to show that your company or your organization is diverse. You have such and such person of such and such gender, of such and such ethnicity, and you are fulfilling your part. Well, the problem is that if we only do this in terms of fulfilling the form, we are not going to advance as a society. The key for us to advance is to understand and take all the potential that diversity has and make it a driver for progress. So what is diversity? Diversity, when we analyze the essence, means different virtues. It's not just because people are different. When people are different, people have different virtues. People have, different virtues that are very different from myself. I have my strengths, but I cannot play music. I cannot say interesting, funny stories. I cannot be maybe as generous as some women can naturally be more welcoming and be more concerned about everyone. But the essence of diversity, and in our curriculum, in our school, and my apologies, I'm going to do a small advertisement of our School of Public Policy in Brasilia, FGV, Public Policy. We have 4 pillars. And one of the 4 pillars in terms of pedagogy is human values and how we prepare the human values and how we make sure that people understand diversity as a potential. So we have 4 disciplines. Every year, the annual disciplines during 4 years, students are focused on diversity, but from the viewpoint that diversity is a discovery of virtues. So we challenge everyone to work always in teams and discover the whole range of virtues that other people have. And that is one of the main problems. So if we can use diversity and everyone can learn to look at diversity as a big opportunity, you want a diverse workforce because that will bring a whole lot of different virtues to your organization and will be more dynamic, more creative, more fun. So that's what I would like to say, if we can start focusing a little more on taking advantage and really using those things and be concerned with the essence that those messages that we have in SG represent, not just the form, but really work with the essence and make that a driver for future development and a better society in the future.
No, that's great, Edson. I think it's not only about the result, it's also about the process, right? And when we have diversity, a team of different people, not only based on ethnicity, race, sexuality, but all kinds of diversity, we are going to do things in a different way. Because that's one thing, right? The way we do business nowadays is not the only way. And we need to rethink this if you want to achieve another result. We can do things in the same way if we want a different outcome.
Sure.
So to close up this panel, I would like to hear in 1 or 2 sentences from each of you, how do you see the connections between ESG and innovation, and how do you think these can contribute to the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals, which is the main sustainable development agenda that we have in the world, as I was mentioning in the beginning. Daniely, let's start with you.
Yeah, I guess that actions such as reducing the use of non-renewable resources and prioritizing the use of sustainable products are a good example of how innovation can contribute to sustainability. But I also think that innovation joins the concept of sustainability in order to seek different ways of acting and modernizing a company's traditional practices to achieve the sustainable development goals. But this also goes beyond relating innovations to the sustainable development goals. It is necessary to have a clear goal that will have a real impact and contributions to the expected result in 2030.
That's great. Thank you. Celso.
Just a brief comment about this diversity. I quite agree, and for us here, the diversity of talents is very much important. And then coming straight to the point here, so I spoke a lot about technology, and I will focus more on this one, and technology plays a key role to mitigate the climate change and the transition to a carbon neutral economy. And we in Brazil, we have a big space to play, opportunity to be a leading model. And this goes all connected, the biodiversity and the biofuels platforms, the forest sector that we can, I gave some examples how it is well explored or can be well explored in the industry. So technology, innovation, enhance the raw material and water, energy efficiency, and then new renewable materials and promote and develop new renewable materials. So this is technology, innovation, how it can directly be connected to the ESG.
Perfect. Edson, how ESG and innovation can contribute to the achievement of the SDGs?
Well, one concept that we didn't have time to talk, but I would like to introduce in this final moment is public good, and innovation as the definition of innovation talks. Innovation is something that has to be applied industrially, commercially, has to have a function in the market, something that can be commercialized and bring value to society. We have many ways of bringing value to society, but there is a set of goods that are called public goods, which are free for everyone to use. And on the other hand, depending on the goods that we produce, we might destroy those goods. So when we talk about innovation and we talk about, lateral thinking or design thinking or any of those creative methodologies, agile methodologies, it is essential that we think how this is going to impact society and impact public good. So it is essential that we, as we innovate, we can track the impact in the public good so that we don't locally improve our company or our sector, but globally we are destroying the public good. So that's the only thing I would like to, call attention so that everyone can be very aware of the public good and how innovation is fostering the entire public good.
That's great. Yeah, this should be on our indicators, right? So to close up this panel, I would like to thank once again Daniely, Celso, and Edson for this great debate. And thank you all for joining us, and have a nice end of week and be there for the next event, right, Gustavo? There's another session now at 12 p.m.
Thank you so much, Anna, Daniely, Celso, Edson, for the participation, for sharing different experience and different perspectives. So it's always really great to hear about innovation related to ESG and sustainability, especially now in this moment that we're passing through. So we are really happy to receive you all here. And we are finishing our conference, our second day of the CR3 Plus conference. And CR3 Plus, it's a joint effort for a group of institutions from ISAE here in Brazil, La Trobe Business School in France, or in Australia, Audencia Business School in France, and Hanking School of Economics in Finland. And next year, we'll have a new plus join to our group that is from India. So I'm going to just briefly present a welcome video with the announcement of the next conference that we're going to have in a new edition for the group. So if I could share screen, Katja, can you let me?
Yes, just a minute.
Okay. Okay, great. So I'm going to share the presentation.
Hello everyone, greetings from TAPME Manipal. This is Professor Madhugiri Raghavan. I'm the director of TAPME. Firstly, I want to congratulate Norman and Gustavo for the fantastic conference. Despite the fact that it's been run online, and it clearly shows the commitment of the schools. And of course, we don't want to take eyes off sustainability and the SDGs. So thank you very much for the conference. We are delighted to be part of this consortium as the 5th school. There are approximately 3,500 B schools in India, and TAPME is consistently ranked in the top 20 B schools. We're one of 7 double crown B schools, both AMBER and ASCSB. We're part of UN Prime, part of the HPS Mark, and we do some great stuff in sustainability space. So clearly it puts us in a position where we can organize and host great international conferences. Manipal, I don't know how many of you know, but it's a lovely university town. There are 30,000 students around the world. There's 1,000 more faculty, thousands of faculty, staff, and different organizations. It's a beautiful place, and I really welcome all of you to Manipal. In fact, I want to take the opportunity, and I'm delighted to announce that we'll be hosting the 9th edition of the CR3 Plus conference. And the theme that we've actually picked is something very interesting. It is basically sustainability as strategy. And why do we want to do it? In this conference, the proposed conference next year, we want to be able to create a platform where we bring business leaders, policymakers, civil society organizations, academics to deliberate on specific issues where we can say, how does sustainability drive the business, the competitive advantage of businesses, and they can drive different economic ecosystems. We want to be able to have a dialogue. We also want academics to come and present high quality papers. So I'm really excited that we'll be getting an opportunity to host the conference. I also want to take the opportunity to thank all the other schools, other member schools, other schools who are interested in this space, and invite all of you to join us in this very, very important dialogue, this very important conference that we plan to hold, and I extend a very warm welcome to all of you. Finally, I wanted to say that this is a great milestone for, we have a center in TAPME called TAPME Center for Inclusive Growth and Competitiveness. It's a great milestone for the center. The center is led by my colleague Ishwar Haritas and team. They'll be getting in touch with you very soon to welcome you. And also we'll have a great conference website where all of the material will be posted, and you'll be hearing from Ishwar and the team very soon. I really can't wait to have this conference in Manipal and to welcome all of you. So thank you so very much, and namaste from me.
Great, thank you. So we are heading for the future and hope that we're going to have the conference in person so we can see each other and get together and interact. And to do the closing remarks, I would like to invite Professor Norman Neto, who is the director of Faculdade ISAE Brasil, to do the closing remarks.
Thank you, Gustavo. Thank you very much. We have reached the final moment of our CR3, guys. But in my opinion, we must reflect on the legacy left by this edition. In these 2 days, wonderful days, we had leaders from many nationalities presenting amazing articles and papers. 50 papers were submitted, 29 articles selected for the sessions, and 25 speakers from Brazil and abroad. We started the first day with a very important discussion led by Paul Pullman that said about the role we have in transforming society, especially within our business schools and companies, the connection between business schools and companies. In our first day, we had papers bringing a lot of insights, on how to do and how to act on the sustainability challenges we are facing nowadays. We also discussed a role of cities as inclusive places designed for the citizens. In another panel, our first day, the challenges in dealing with supply chain management in global chains and how COVID-19 has impacted our lives. Jonas from Untitled, Jonas Hertel, closed the day with an inspiring speech about where we are nowadays in relation to the SDGs, but also how much we have to involve to reach these goals. Today, in our last days, in Dean's panel, we talked about the importance of transformative education, respect and diversity within business schools. Today, Trex brought a perspective of the future, where we are and where we want to go. Finally, in panel, we reinforce the role of education as an agent of transformation and also the role of companies in this context. I want to say thank you very much to our co-organization partners, La Trobe Business School from Australia, Henken School of Economics from Finland, and Audencia Business School from Mainz. I want to say thank you very much to our supporters, Prime, the Principal Responsible Management Education, the Global Compact Brasil Network, ANAMBA, ANGRAD, and Prefeitura de Curitiba. Thank you, ISAE team, and the volunteers who collaborated to these amazing 2 days. Gustavo, Katia, Breno, Anderson, and Rebecca. Thank you very much. Congratulations to all of us. Thank you, Gustavo.
Thank you, Neto. Thank you, everyone, for the amazing days. Hope you had enjoyed the conference, and we hope to see each other in the next cycle in India, in a different world, and with different perspectives and with different interactions. So have a nice day. Enjoy your weekend. And Brazil, we have holiday too, so enjoy it and see you in the next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Bye, Norman.
Bye-bye, Edson. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye-bye, Umesh, my friend. Thank you.